Good morning and welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka hashtag Russ Selfie. Ready for another amazing episode today on Labor Day. So glad that you're here with us. It's going to be amazing. Got my friend Curtis Rivers with us today, and you do not want to miss it. So share this out with your friends. Tell them we're on. Here we go. Do you want to know how amazing people connect? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka hashtag Russ Selfie.
Thanks for connecting. And if you like what you hear, please share.
And hello, good morning, everybody. No matter what time it is where you are, it's morning here for me. And I'm so glad you're here on Marketing with Russ, aka hashtag Russ Selfie. You know, we're here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. After we go live, this sits on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook where we broadcast. And then it actually converts to audio podcast as well. And you can listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We'd love for you to like and just comment and engage wherever it works for you. And we're so thankful that you're here today. It's going to be an amazing show. Wanted to start off with a big thank you to our sponsors. I'm telling you, we are so blessed. This is a sponsor-driven, listener-driven live stream. Because of you, we can continue. And I thank you for that. Go to capitalmortgagesource.com today to find out more about Bob Bartline and Capital Mortgage Source and their mortgage services. Thank you to them. Thank you to Kicking Cancer. Kickingcancer.org is kicking-cancer.org is where you go for Kicking Cancer. They support families going through cancer. Southpaw's Pizza in Albany, Oregon. Go to southpawspizza.com for more information on them. Amazing pizza and food. And Carrie Whitlatch and Farmers Insurance. You can call Carrie at 541-258-3995. And I'm just so thankful for all of those amazing sponsors. Also, we are listener supported. You can scan the QR code to give today. And don't forget, I have my New York sponsorship going. If you want to get an amazing value, you get a live stream sponsorship episode and a digital ad, a $700 value for only $150. And a little of that helps me get to New York to speak at the Cancer Conference for Perspectives on Cancer, which, by the way, is October 3rd through 5th. It would be awesome if you are directly dealing with cancer this time in your life, whether you have cancer or you're dealing with caregiving for somebody, or you just need support and family and community. Perspectives on Cancer is awesome. Go to perspectivesoncancer.com today for that. And you can come to the conference coming up here just next month. Now, October 3rd through 5th. It's going to be amazing. So thank you for all your support for me getting there and be able to speak and encourage at the conference. So I'm so thankful for that. So yes, it's another Monday and it is Labor Day. So happy Labor Day, everybody. So glad to be here. I have an amazing guest today, Curtis Rivers, who's going to be on in just a few minutes. And wow, what a life he's had already. And he's going to talk to you about it. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to let him talk to you. I'll just give a little secret out that he has done stuntman work in some of the biggest movies you've watched. And so it's kind of exciting. And the transformation he's making now, we're going to talk about that. So yes, really excited. My co-host is excited too. You got to love Kermit. You got to love Kermit. He's here just to brighten things up. So, all right, listen, we are here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And we're all about how amazing people connect. That's what Marketing with Russ is all about. What does that mean, Russ? Connection. What? Connection, community building. Yes, I'm telling you, the foundation, I truly believe the foundation of any good marketing plan or any good business is connection and community building. So today I want to encourage you, you got to find your people, you got to find your tribe. And I'm telling you that when you find the right people, your business will take off, your life will improve. You know, it's just like Zig Ziglar says, you build the people and then the people build your business, because it's all about people. So that's what we're all about here on Marketing with Russ. You can connect with me if you know my name, piece of cake. RussHedge.com. RussHedge.com is a place to go. Please, please, please go there today. RussHedge.com. Love to communicate with you and connect with you. If we're not already connected, you could choose a million different ways, whether it is through my social media, through my email, phone number. You can even schedule time directly on my calendar. Maybe that's not quite a million, but there's a lot of ways to connect with me today. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube page. This is how simple it is. Marketing with Russ.live. There you go. If you know the name of the show, you can go straight to my YouTube page. Marketing with Russ.live will get you there. And I'm telling you, you will be blessed, not only by people like Curtis, who will then always be on the YouTube page, but all of the amazing guests. We are coming up on 550 episodes, coming up on September 11th, 550 episodes. So there's a lot of value there. Speaking of which, don't miss a September 11th episode. I have a real true hero. If you missed him in the past, my friend Bobby G, who was climbing under the rubble right after the towers collapsed. It's an amazing, amazing story. You don't want to miss it on 9/11. So, and that'll be number 550. But today, Curtis is going to be on. So you want to share this out. You want to tell all your friends, tag your friends and tell them that Curtis Rivers is coming on. If you want to hear from a true stunt man that's made a significant transition in his life right now, you're going to want to hear about all the things that are going on there. So please share this out with your friends and tag them and let them know. And it's going to be great. Okay, so just got a couple more things to do. You see behind me, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. That's right. My original book, help you learn to live a life of purpose, a life of significance, living with a good mindset and perspective. It's all right there. I'd love to help you. It's an easy read. You can pick that up at, I know it's going to be shocking to you. You can pick that up at russhedge.com today, or go to Amazon or any online booksellers. You'll find it. Also, if you're in the Oregon area, actually, you can pick it up at actual bookstores here in the Salem, Oregon area. Also, I've got my new book coming up, the follow-up to that, Life Happens and Then You Choose. It'll be out probably early winter. We are we're editing and getting things together right now, getting the cover finished and getting ready to promote that. So super excited about that. So look for more information on that. Also, you can pick up my 4 anthologies at russhedge.com or Amazon, which are collaborative books I wrote with amazing other authors. There's 4 of them. Tells more about my life, my story, my cancer journey. And they're amazing. They were #1 on Amazon, international bestsellers. Because some really smart people I worked with helped me. So they did all the hard work and the heavy lifting. So anyway, we're going to check that out. All right. Last but not least, we do our marketing tip of the day every Monday and Thursday. This is just a little snippet. It gets cut out, put on YouTube Shorts, gets put on social media separately. So you can actually see it again and share it. Just the marketing tip of the day. It's just a little snippet to help lift you, point you in the right direction, encourage you today. So are you ready? All right, here we go. This is in honor of Labor Day today. All right, here we go. This is your marketing tip of the day. Watch your labor. That's right. Watch your labor. You need to pay attention where you are spending your time and your laboring. Where are you putting your efforts and your energy? Where are you taking action? Because today, if you are laboring in the wrong area, you're going to not be going where you want to be. You're going to be going down instead of up. You need to pay attention to who your audience is, who you're laboring with, and 2, what your message is and how you're laboring to them. So today, think about that. Think about where you're laboring. You got to watch your labor and help make sure that you're getting a clear message out. Clarity is so important today. clarity in what is your message, what is your offer, how are you trying to help people, what problem do you solve? Make sure those are very clear things today. And I tell you, it'll make things so much better. So watch your labor, and that is your marketing tip of the day. All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to get Curtis in the room, get things started. He's going, oh my goodness, are we ever getting going? Here we go. Hey, Curtis, how you doing?
Hello there, how are you doing?
I am so good. It's great to see you this morning, and I am just so blessed to have you on. I got connected to you by other friends, speaking of connection, and I'm so thankful for that. And, you know, we had an amazing conversation, and I've heard so many amazing things about you. So I know some of your story, but all those people watching today want to hear, who in the world is Curtis Rivers, and what are you up to?
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, my background is in overcoming fear as a world record breaking movie stuntman. So I've since become an award-winning author, and now I'm guiding heart-centered souls through an authentic awakening to reimagine, realign, and reignite. So what does that mean? It means I work with people who are a little bit lost in life, like I found myself a few years ago. People, some of them are successful actually, and to the outside world, they look like they've got everything. And yet deep down, they're waking up at 3 a.m. thinking, is this it? There must be more to life than this, you know, because they're unfulfilled. They've changed as people. And that was me. I was a movie stuntman for years, working in some big blockbusters like James Bond, the Harry Potter series, you know, TV shows like Game of Thrones. And I was showing up, doing the stunts, coordinating the action, directing eventually. And more as I got older and wiser and a little bit more spiritual, that became tougher and tougher to turn up in that kind of alpha male role. And it just wasn't me anymore. And I got to a point where I was just turning up for the money, if I'm completely honest. Paid well, I had a mortgage to pay and mouths to feed, and that's why I did it. But it takes its toll. I was living a lie, and it was time for a change and to realign with my true sense of purpose, define that, and then move into that alignment, so that I could reignite my life once more, which I did. And that's why I help others do the same now.
Well, I want to tell you, I love this, how you've really focused on what is important in your life. And I want to just go back a little bit more and what, you know, you've already talked about, you were going a direction you didn't want to go. You really wanted to realign and refresh and take a look at what was important in your life. But what was it like those years? You know, it's a grueling job. I mean, people think that being in movies is all just flash and just so much, you know, you get the fame and it's all this about, you know, the glory, but it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of drag on your life, right?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we used to often joke about that when you're stood in, you know, ankle deep swamp at 3 a.m. being eaten alive, and like, oh, the glamour of it all, you know. It was exceptionally difficult work, and I'm not work shy. That wasn't really an issue, but the hours are long, typically 12-hour days filming, 5 or 6 days a week, and then you've got to travel to the location. Oftentimes you're away from home, staying in a hotel, and it becomes, on a busy movie, just literally you're just living on a film set, and you're so tired by the time you land back in your hotel at 9 p.m. and you've got to be up at 5 a.m. for makeup maybe, or prosthetics. So you just sign up for this thing, and it completely takes your life over for 6 months or more until the next one. And yeah, it can be all consuming. Not afraid of hard work. For me, it was just the environment. It was pretending to be somebody else, because when I first started out, going back to childhood, the real me that I hid for years, kind of like soft and gentle natured, like a kind, caring person. But to survive in the world, oftentimes we put on this armor, and, you know, to protect ourselves. And I had to become a boxer, a martial artist, you know, a fighter, as well as a tough guy who could take a knock and pick myself up off the ground and go for a second take and a third take and a fourth take, even though it hurt every time. So I had to toughen up to man up, as we'd say over here. And it was just all an act. So early days, that was just me. I became that person. But as I got older and wiser, I started to split into a kind of double life where I would do that during the day. And then when I got home, I'd be lighting candles and meditating and reading good books and eating healthy and looking after myself, and a much more holistic, in tune, aligned life, which felt lovely. And then I would eventually have to get in the car and drive to a film set, take a deep breath, literally put on the baseball cap and clip a radio on and become this stunt coordinator, stunt director, or a stuntman for the day. It just got more and more difficult as time rolled on.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that. The only thing that I really have to relate it to, my son is a musician. So he travels, he's getting ready to go on tour again. Everybody thinks all the glory, up there on stage and the crowd's going wild. But you don't realize all that they go through. And, like, for example, he'll be he's either flying everywhere, or for the next 3 weeks, he'll be on a bus tour where they actually get off every night at a different location, playing over and over. It is a lot of hard work. So that's the only thing that I have to relate it to, see him going through that as opposed to what you were doing. But I know from our discussion too, how difficult that life can be. And especially, like you said, you're gone a lot. It's hard to have a family life. It's hard to just be settled down. And so let's go through the transition now, the important things in life and where you really needed to step back, just like a lot of people step away from corporate and go into their own personal entrepreneurship or their own personal business because they're tired of having to do all that the corporation wants. You made that switch, and then you decided you were going to help others. Talk us through that.
Yeah, it's a journey that begins with, first of all, dropping the masks, really, and not being afraid to be seen for who you are. And oftentimes it's quite anticlimactic when you do that, because in your mind you conjure up all of these images. And for me, I thought, what are people going to think? They think I'm this tough guy. What are they going to think when I step out of the woohoo closet and they find out I'm quite a spiritual guy and I'm doing healing and energy work and mindfulness, meditation, and all these different things? Because I'm trained in NLP, emotional freedom techniques. So there's kind of healings and that kind of thing, how to get rid of limiting beliefs. So I'm really into all of that. But what will people think? When I finally stepped out and waited for all that flack, it never really happened. People just kind of thought, oh, yeah, we knew you were into that already. Yeah, like no surprise. It was quite anticlimactic. So oftentimes we worry and create all of these fears when it's just all of our own creation. So step one is in just stepping forward, embracing authenticity. And in that journey of being authentic, also to just deep dive and think, okay, now the mask's gone. What's left? Who am I really? Like in my case, in terms of natural talent, I was naturally talented at writing, for instance, and artistic things, creating things. But I never did that because I wanted to be a stuntman since I was a child. So I just, suppressed that. And really that was crying to get out. And that's why I ended up writing material, doing talks, and eventually writing books, because there is a writer inside wanting to communicate truths that's bursting to get out, you see. So going back to childhood, in your younger days, your natural talents, things you've maybe suppressed to put this act on and earn a living. And then combining the two, being authentic, looking at your natural talents, and then getting rid of the whole host of limiting beliefs that we've took on to protect ourselves over the years. Those are the first few steps on a journey to transition to live an aligned, meaningful life.
Yeah, I like that whole thing. And the first step, really figuring out who are you really, and where, I think that so many people are out there trying to be somebody they're not. They're trying to be somebody else. And, in the movie business, everybody's pretending to be somebody else, right? I mean, and even though, it is, I can't even begin to think about how difficult all that is and to keep your regular life on track. And so people are struggling, and they're trying to really be authentic and figure out who in the world am I really and what value do I have for the world. So where do you start in helping people? Talk us through just a little bit of your process in helping others when they call you and they just say, listen, I haven't been a stuntman, but I've been stuck in this corporate job and I'm stepping back because that is not me. And I want to help people. Where do I go?
Yeah, well, it all begins with that conversation. I'll jump on a clarity call with them and I'll sit and listen very carefully for 45 minutes, an hour, and spend some quality time, because there are various solutions at the beginning, because everyone's different. Everyone's first few baby steps in their transition is slightly different depending on exactly where they are on their path. Some people have an inkling, they've had the corporate job, they've been doing something maybe at home, and now they want to monetize that. They want to turn their hobby and interest into their new income stream. So they're living that aligned life, being paid for doing something they love. Other people just know they're really unhappy in where they are now. They don't know where they went wrong. This really appealed to them many, many years ago. And suddenly they find themselves kind of bored, uninspired, but not really sure what's next. And that's because they haven't stripped away those layers. And so we'll have a little bit of a chat about that, what they used to do, wind it back to the last time they remember being really happy in what they were doing. And then we break it down. I try not to focus entirely on the career, because I have a tool called the alignment compass. It's a bit like my version of a life coaching wheel, where we look at different sectors. So I might bring that in and say, look, let's just have a look at finances, your health, your relationships, your spiritual aspects, like all of the different quadrants that make up life, because sometimes it's lacking somewhere we don't expect. And we're just focusing on business, for instance, because there's something lacking elsewhere. So I try and take a balanced, holistic approach, have a little look at all aspects of that before we really start to do the inner work, which then moves into mindset and where it all begins.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, I love this holistic approach, taking a look at it all. And with me, it starts with my spiritual life. I mean, I am God first in everything that I do. And that's really what drives me. But, that's what sets you move forward with whatever starts your path, and you look at what your mindset and perspective is on your life. I do a lot of speaking on the power of perspective, because how you look at life affects everything you do. So your perspective is driving everything. I've said this many times before, but I love the divine equation by Chip Ingram. Your circumstances plus your perspective equals your experience. Whatever your circumstances are, you can't control, but that perspective you can. That's going to determine what kind of experience you have. 3 people can come out of the same exact room with the same exact experience, same exact circumstances, and have 3 different experiences, right? Because it's how they're looking at that. So I think your mindset is so important as you go into these things. And referring back to, you had mentioned limiting beliefs before. There's so much waiting on us and pulling us down. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about having to get over your own issues in life, not just the things that other people are doing to you, but the circumstances you're creating all by yourself, those limiting beliefs, those imposter syndrome, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it fits hand in glove with what you've just said. We carry these filters, our perceptions, that kind of, I always say relative to what, when somebody says things like, I aren't making enough money, or I'm not successful, relative to what, relative to a popular billionaire, or relative to the guy you went to school with, or, relative to what? And, oh, no, not the guy I went to school with. I make far more than him. No, compared to wherever this multi-million pound. And okay, so you've fallen into that comparison trap, but maybe just ease off on that for a moment and just look at various variants. That in itself, that comparison trap, it can be a limiting belief. But I find more and more that particular comparison trap is evident in today's modern social media. That kind of me mentality, and also the fakeness of it, just calling it out, being honest and open about it. So many people flying on a regular economy seat on an aeroplane, and they'll run and jump into business or first class, snap a few pictures, living the dream, hashtag first class, and then they quickly ushered off, and out go those images onto social media. And there's that perception that everybody's living a perfect life except you, everyone's idea of success. So it's compounding this feeling of lack of worth, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And these things that often play in the background, as you'll know, it's your subconscious mind. So we're not consciously aware of it. But sadly, that is the software running in the background that is creating your life. So I do some deep diving into that, and we go in, basically have an 8-week program, and the whole 4 weeks in the middle of that is to take daily action to completely reprogram that subconscious mind, to eradicate all of the limiting beliefs, and also to instill new, affirming, positive beliefs that serve them in their direction.
Yeah, I think that there is this yearning to be somebody else. Like you said, people look at social media and it does look like everybody's, having a perfect life. Because, let's be honest, we all put up our best days. Not too often do we put up our worst days, right? I had a real revelation because I really feel like being authentic and transparent with your life, if you're putting up all these good things, if things happen that people that really care about you want to share, I actually felt God driving me to share my cancer journey 3 years ago when I first was diagnosed. And I'm telling you that those things really helped me realize that, I am me through the good days and the bad days. I am me through the struggles and the positive things and the celebrations. And I think a lot of times we're just looking for that hilltop experience all the time, and everybody else seems to be having it, and we're not. And that's why we need people like you, Curtis, that kind of bring us down to earth and say, listen, they're not having a perfect life. That's just their good day. It's all right. It's okay. You got to realize, right? I love the phrase a friend of mine said, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have those valleys and have to work through those. You just don't want to stay there, right? You want to move beyond that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's helpful to so many people, isn't it? That I'm sure you found that authenticity, sharing the good and the bad, the challenging and the triumphs. And actually, in reality, more people will learn from your challenges being shared than they will any lookatme.com, showing off, aren't I clever, patting yourself on the back. So in the real world, people do struggle. People look forward to their weekends oftentimes as their little moments of joy. And the thing they do in between that in the week is the hard graft and the bit that they may not enjoy so much. So they won't post about that. They'll wait till the weekend and pose with some makeup on for the perfect picture or whatever, But it's during that week and it's during them challenges that molds us. And gosh, I've been literally knocked on my backside so many times in the stunt world. And it actually, stunts in so many ways becomes the perfect analogy, because each time you get knocked down and you pick yourself back up and dust yourself down, you gain more and more tenacity. And life is throwing us all of these challenges. And sometimes you're knocked down and you're winded and it takes you a little bit longer to get back up again. Been there. I've gone through divorce, suicidal thoughts, bankruptcy. I've been through so much and bounced back, followed a set pattern that I share with people that works. And part of that pattern is, having that tenacity to stand up, dust yourself down, see it for what it is, even dare to ask, what's the lesson to be learned in this? Because without any doubt whatsoever, every single challenge, in retrospect, when I look back, taught me so much, helped me grow. Yeah. And even though you think, if I had a time machine, maybe I'd go back and change that. I wouldn't go down that alley. I wouldn't say that to that person. But actually, that made us who we are, warts and all. So these challenges, that's how I look upon it. These challenges my clients go through, that I still go through, sometimes randomly, it's there to teach me something and help me grow.
That is so good. That is so good because it makes every experience in life makes us who we are. And through the most challenging things, we grow the most. We have to depend on God. We have to depend on, holding in there and having persistence to make it through, because there's so many situations we have to go through and learn lessons as we go. And I think that, looking back, I wouldn't change anything, because it definitely has made me who I am today. And it's given me opportunities that I would have never had before because of the challenges I've gone through. And I think people need to realize that. And people like you said, have had your own challenges. People look at people that are famous and they think, oh my goodness, they have nothing to worry about. They don't understand me because they have all this money and they're famous. Good example for me. I don't know if you know Dave Ramsey. He's really big on debt free, but he's a big force for, paying off your debt and living debt free. But he'd been bankrupt more than once. He's lost everything. He had millions of dollars, and then he's been able to build it back through the right principles. So it took all those challenges to get him to where he is. And there's no such thing as an overnight success, because all those years before led up to wherever they were when they suddenly found that success or that fame, right? And you dealt with people like that, I'm sure, all the time in the arena of movies. A lot of those stars, they don't really have everything together, or they didn't, and they're just where they are now because of what they went through.
100%, yeah. And that's something I realized very early on in my career, as I got to know the different stars. We spend a lot of time with them as stunt doubles. We work out with them on the film set in the morning. We do the training, and we become friends with them. We've got to learn to move like them, adopt their physicality. So you can't see the switch, if you like, between actor and then the stunt taking place. We do our best to mirror. And so we spend a lot of time together. And then later in my career, starting to coordinate stunts and direct stunts. I'm into coaching actors, working through their fears. If I've got to put a wire on them and stand them on top of a cliff or on a high building, so we spend a lot of time together. And we work again and again. They ask for me over the years. So you get to know them quite well, and offset as well. And there is, I would say, put my neck on the line and say probably 85% of them are troubled. And when you think about it, it's a funny old profession, acting, where you voluntarily, as lovely and as interesting as it is, but where you voluntarily would rather pretend to be somebody else than yourself for a career. And that's one way of looking at it, that there's an escapism in wearing a mask for a career. And they're oftentimes very troubled away from the set, not just the obvious, drugs, and there's a darkness underlying the film industry. Another reason I stepped back from it. But they're troubled individuals, like hiding, and a lot of them are in pain. And that taught me a lot away from the film set, not to be judgmental, to be very open-minded, because everyone, even the apparent multimillionaires and those who look like they've got it all together, very, very rarely have. They've got their massive insecurities. There's a lot of huge insecurities in the film business. And that reflects in their behaviors and their vices and how they can lose everything. But it is, going back to what you said, a learning curve. Even though I went bankrupt, it taught me the mechanisms to save and to invest and to improve my accounting, and also not to play the victim. The old me would have blamed it on my old accountant. And I used to, because I had a terrible accountant who left the business, appeared to leave me in the lurch. And next minute, the tax people, Inland Revenue over here in the UK, like the IRS, they were on my back and adding interest, and it was crippling. But the modern me accepts that I take 100% responsibility, because guess what? I employed the accountant. I didn't check his work. I didn't read the small print signing documents. I didn't save. I didn't do, fill in the blank. So I take full responsibility across the board for everything in my life. And it's wonderful, because I'm creating an amazing life because I take full responsibility. I consciously have the thoughts and the feelings and the aligned actions that continue to create a great life. So every challenge teaches you something, learn from it and implement it moving forward and create a great life.
Yeah, so good. So good. Well, listen, I've got to be a responsible host. I've already let the show go over because I'm having such a great conversation with you, but just want to ask you one question before we do the wrap up here. Tell us your most unforgettable role and which movie you love the most doing.
Gosh, that's a tricky one to answer. I guess I've had lots of high points in my career, but I guess just being a young man in my mid-20s, the first big film that I did was Tomorrow Never Dies with Pierce Brosnan playing James Bond. And not only did I get to appear in an iconic car chase scene, firing a rocket launcher at him and he drives a car at me and I jump out of the way, but I was invited back and we had a scene together in the South China Seas where he stabs me and holds me out and I get machine gunned and fall off this ship. And they think they've killed James Bond, but they've killed me. And for that 20-something-year-old, I think I was 25, looking at the silver screen, thinking, that's me. I made it. You know, I haven't watched it as a kid. It's a very iconic. So that's right up there in some of those great moments.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, listen, so here's what I'd like for you to do as we wrap things up. Tell everybody your just kind of wrap things up in a nice little bow and give us your gold nugget of today's conversation. What do you really want people to remember from our conversation today? And then tell everybody how to get in touch with you. All right, go ahead.
I'd like people to remember sincerely that it's never too late to change your direction in life. Never, ever, no matter what age you are. If you're unhappy, unfulfilled, and feel that draw to do something more meaningful, it can be done. 100%, no exceptions. You can do it. And that's what I help people do. For further information, you could go to curtisrivers.com. There's a little video on there explaining things. If you'd like the free tool that I mentioned, the alignment compass, to have a little deep dive on your life, just go to www.alignmentcompass.com, and that's there for you free of charge.
All right. Say that one more time so we can make sure and get it in the comments.
Okay. So my main website is www.curtisrivers.com, and the free alignment compass tool is at www.alignmentcompass.com.
Alignmentcompass.com. Okay, we'll get that in the comments. And wow, Curtis, I appreciate you so much. Appreciate you coming on today. Looking forward, you're going to be on another one of my live streams coming up here in the middle of the month. So looking forward to continuing our conversation. Anybody who enjoyed this today, look for that coming up on the Experience Live with Russ and Scott on a Wednesday in the middle of the month coming up. And we'll talk to Curtis some more. But Curtis, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to say goodbye to you on screen, but hang tight in the green room as I wrap things up. All right?
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. See you in a minute. Okay. And I can actually make myself normal size there. There we go. I was going to say, wow, where am I? Well, there we go. Hey, everybody. This is live and on the roll. So, you know, it's so amazing the different people that I am able to bring to you here on Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie, every week, Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I am so blessed to have friends like Curtis. He and I are new friends, but I'm so thankful for him. I learned so much today about what he's gone through and where he takes a look at life, and it helps me redirect my thinking and focus my mindset on what's important. And I hope it did for you today too. Don't forget that all of the information with Curtis is in the comments. It's clickable. It's also in the show notes. You go directly to him. You don't have to even remember it all. It's all right there, including the alignmentcompass.com, which is his conference. You want to go to that information as well. It's all there. And I just want to thank you all for being here today with me. We're here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Remember, the best way to get a hold of me, RussHedge.com. That's right. RussHedge.com is a place to go. And I'm just so thankful and blessed that you guys are here. I wouldn't be the same without you. Don't forget, we are sponsor and listener supported. so thankful. Let me get this off there. There we go. To our sponsors, Capital Mortgage Source, Kicking Cancer, Southpaw's Pizza, and Farmers Insurance for supporting us today. Also, for all of you who have scanned and sent in or clicked the link and sent in support. Don't forget New York sponsorship going on right now. If you're able to help with that, get me to New York. That would be great. Otherwise, any amount is thankful goes towards production costs of our shows. And so thankful for all of you for doing that. And with that, we're going to call it good. Don't forget, next week, or actually later this week, we'll be here on Thursday. And guess my co-host will be here too. I'll bring Kermie along Thursday, so make sure and show up. It's going to be good. All right. Have a blessed and amazing rest of your week and enjoy your Labor Day. All right. See you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an amazing day.